Hey everyone, wanted to do a quick 326 build showcase, which, if I'm being honest, is going to be more of a mercenary showcase than my actual character, because I feel like the mercenary has gone through the most iteration, but I'll still briefly overview my character because I did have some selections because of the mercenary. It's Doryani's, no surprise. Yeah, Doryani's is just so powerful on this patch. I mean, with Doryani's, a mercenary is more power creep than we've ever gotten in any league mechanic. Like, my mercenary gives me like 4 times more damage and some other utility on top of that. And that's assuming like best case scenario where I take the Inquisitor pen, which is really useful in non-mercenary scenarios. My mercenary setup is really expensive. As of the time of this video, it's like approaching 200 divs all in all for the setup. Of course, it's pretty min-maxed, not necessary for most content in the game. It's designed right now to live against Quad Ghosted Feared, which is arguably the hardest hitting content in the game. Maybe Deep Delve is more, but the main map I've been running mostly for fun and kind of the challenge is the Destiny Glade map. So you get a Forbidden Flame, it's Quad Ghosted Feared, no movement skill, and I do need to take a ring off and do 90% less damage. I have done probably about 150 of these, maybe more this league. Just a map I find that's fun, a good way to benchmark a build. I'll have some footage in this video, I'm sure, of me doing some of this map, but in the past like 70-ish that I've done, my Merc has only died once, and that was a ghost turned off 100% of his recovery, and then it was also like a really tight corridor with like Itziri, Stormcall shotgun plus Elder shotgun, and they just all hit him at the same time, and things really didn't line up well for him. But I die like 3 to 4 times more often than my Merc does in these maps if we're going at like a 170 map per rate, because yeah, it's insane how tanky he is. My gear is really OD because I'm gearing it for the Quad Ghosted Feared. I'm sure there's plenty of Doryani's Merc videos out there. You really just gotta get them to the -200, cap out res, and just do what you can for some max HP, and they should be fine in most content. I was doing some 5 risk T17s with this guy earlier. His health bar wasn't moving. I'm sure there are some map mod combos where he probably will die. Like, if you're doing minus max, pen, crit, less recovery, he'll probably die, yeah. Maybe not though if you got enough damage and coverage. But normal setup should be fine for most use cases. This is just where I'm at for the Valdo's purposes. The main, I guess, adaptations I've made for my guy, nothing particularly revolutionary on like these slots here, but I guess like the biggest ones would be the amulet, which I think it was bigdaddy, the armor stacker guy, did this type of amulet for his guy. I did the Warcry anoint, and same with this helmet. So these two pieces are what enable the 100% battlemage cry uptime. There are other slots you could go for here, but just a lot of value for me in the double anoint, and then the shield with the guardian blocking that I'm going to talk about in a bit here. But yeah, the shield is just an insane amount of recovery and kind of EHP plus the utility of the sap. It's just a lot for one slot here, and these 3 slots are the big like keystones of this Merc setup, I would say. With all the life on block and the ES on block and the recoup, his health just feels stapled to the top. The greatwolf does help a lot with that. I noticed, like, with perquils, so first of all, you're not converting the lightning hits anymore, which is a kind of a problem for Doryani's because he doesn't have that much armor. And then they're also taking lightning lucky damage, so like that's depending on the type of hit he's receiving, that's between 10 to 30% more on top. It just makes the characters, or the mercenary characters, lightning max it way too low. You could maybe get away with throwing the perquils toe on, and then maybe something like a shadowed ring instead of a helical or calandrous touch. So this will pad out the lightning max at a decent amount, but it does automatically make the ring slot worse, and right now my character doesn't really need the damage from perquils. Your discretion there. I guess I could call it the anoint too real quick. So I decided on ralakesh just for the consistent endurance charges, including against charge steel ghosts. But you could definitely do like some rare boots, life, res, regen, eldritch implicits are good, armor is good, a lot of options there. But just wanted to go with the ralakesh for the consistency and because it saves the anoint. So you do absolutely want endurance charges on your merc no matter what. You could do it with this setup where you're kind of going for the block setup. Deflection was reliable. You could go for minimum charges on the rings. Of course, that's also going to be good, but going to be a bit more luxury than these. But yeah, pretty much endurance charges really mandatory. Got the enfeeble on hit. I do find it to be very reliable uptime on bosses. Not as much as if you're doing it yourself, of course, but yeah, still good enough. And yeah, he's just providing me an insane amount of value. I'll post the config that I use to adapt or put what my merc is giving me in POB if you find that helpful. Yeah, I just hope, the goal of this video is to make it so your guys' merc can survive, because I know, of course, Doryani's makes any build that's not Doryani's like kind of irrelevant comparatively. You still do need to figure out a way to get them to live like unconditionally pretty much, and that's kind of where this got me. So yeah, I guess I can talk about my build a little bit. This is kind of an insane budget character. The main variations I'm doing for my energy blade venting as opposed to Connor's or anyone else's. I am doing a Bound by Destiny kind of setup here. So instead of the spell crit, which I am way over capped on crit thanks to the battlemage cry merc setup, I'm going for this one. Very expensive, but thankfully it enables me to only get max res from gear, and I don't need any from tree, which lets me completely transform the tree and pick up a lot of really feels good stuff. So for example, instant leech, of course, Ghost Reaver on top of that. I get another large cluster jewel, and I do actually pick up Fanaticism as opposed to Sanctuary. So for me, Sanctuary, it's like 9% more damage all the time, or Fanaticism is, you can select for times where you want 75% more cast speed and AoE, because since I am using these jewels, I do need to attack to give myself the 25 attack block and my merc the 25 attack block. So like the value of me pressing an attack key is enhanced by having Fanaticism, because if I'm going to be doing it anyway for my block buff, then I might as well be getting some Fanaticism charges while I'm at it. And it's actually really good for Valdo's content because it lets me kind of like cheese the encounters with the feared, if that kind of makes sense. So like while I'm like kind of exploring the map, I can just kind of attack and like kind of build up the fanatic charges, and then once I find them, I'll usually sit at 2 or 3, and once I find them, I do it and I rip it, and then I can just run in and one shot the feared. It feels good, definitely not required, but it makes sense for me because of like how much value I get out of attacking. But I understand if you're against like the button press play style. You do also, it really depends on the Valdo map you're doing, but I do like to use Blade Flurry if I'm not using a movement skill in a movement Valdo, because it just feels better than default attacking, and I can actually link it to Fortify, and it is a reliable 20 fortification even in 90% less damage maps. So really solid defensive layer, honestly, and since it counts as a channeling skill, I'm gonna be stationary. A lot more of my conditional defenses are going to be up if I happen to get caught by something while I'm pressing it. Just better in default attack since I get the fortified. The video is already running a little longer than I wanted it to, so I'm going to cut it short there. I am going to throw a couple of showcase maps on the end here just so you can kind of see how everything functions, I guess, in real time. If you have any questions, let me know. I'll try to answer them. Or even if you have like an improvement you see you can make to the build, let me know. outside of like the obvious settle stuff on my gear and all that. But yeah, I'll put the POB in the description, and there'll be some other useful info there too. Thanks for watching.